So let's jump into the NFL games I saw this weekend, starting with the Broncos versus the Patriots. The Broncos won 18-12. Drew Lock, the quarterback for the Broncos, threw 2 interceptions and 189 yards. Philip Lindsay, the running back for the Broncos, had 101 yards to 23 carries. Then for the Patriots, Cam Newton had 2 interceptions to 159 yards, but he had a pass. He had a rushing TD. The real MVP of this game was probably Brandon McManus. He was 6 for 6 on all field goal attempts and scored all 18 points for the Broncos, so props to him. I saw nothing virtually great about either of these teams. At least Bill Belichick was able to prevent any sort of TD. I guess I can't really say much because they still lost. But the offense just couldn't produce, man. Their wide receivers just aren't elite anymore. I mean, they haven't been elite for about 2 years, maybe 3. I'd say 2. But, like, come on. Julian Edelman needs to step up, man. He's been sucking, like, all year, like, way worse than usual. He was 2 for 6 on his receptions. I mean, come on, dude. You're Super Bowl MVP. You got to be something out there, at least. In terms of, like, the division standings, Broncos aren't really in contention for any division. Pats are. They still have a chance to win theirs. They just cannot afford to lose to the Bills now because these losses definitely are adding up. The Ravens played the Eagles. The Ravens won 30-28. Lamar Jackson had 1 pass TD to 186 passing yards, and then he had 108 rushing yards on 12, which is 12 yards per carry, and then 1 rushing TD. Carson Wentz had a decent day. He had 2 TDs, 213 yards, and then 1 rush TD. And as honorable mention to his receiver, Travis Fulgham, he had 6 receptions and 1 TD, so props to him. I kind of saw a glimpse of the return of Carson Wentz. He's still struggling a little bit, but that fourth quarter comeback was pretty impressive. I mean, 22 points in 1 quarter is not an easy thing to do. I mean, I'm a little disappointed in the Ravens defense. I mean, you can't allow that to happen in the fourth quarter, especially in big games. I mean, this wasn't a big game to them, but you can't let them get away with that many points. It's just a little ridiculous. Lamar Jackson is still utilizing his athleticism by using his legs, as he should. I mean, that's his specialty. And people shouldn't be pushing him like, hey, he needs to be more of a passing quarterback. That won't work all the time. It's like, you're Lamar Jackson, won the MVP because you use your legs. I mean, just use them. However, you still should focus on improving your pass game because you are a quarterback at the end of the day. And I see a slight improvement, but I want to see a little bit more. Hopefully, he'll use his arm a little bit more when there's situations where the rush defense is going to neutralize his legs. But I think he'll find something, man. The Ravens are a great team. I'm sure they'll find something that will utilize him the best as an overall quarterback. But you just got to be careful, man. Defenses are learning, and they learn quick. And looking at the division, I mean, Ravens are they're in a good standing. The Eagles, I mean, depending on how Andy Dalton does with the Cowboys these next couple of games, Eagles still have like a slight chance of taking division. I mean, it's a very shitty division, man. I mean, I'm not saying they have a good chance, but just a slight one. So we'll see what happens. Then we go to the Packers versus Buccaneers game. Yeah, Packers lost 10-38, and Buccaneers scored 38 points on them unanswered. That's right. Packers were winning 10-0 beginning of the second quarter, and then everything just went to shit from there. So here's like the overall stats for that game. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions and 160 yards. Tom Brady had 2 TDs to 166 yards. And then, like, usually Aaron Jones, the running back, kind of always shows up, but he just got his ass annihilated. He only had 1 rush TD, but only 15 total yards. I mean, an impressive performance from running back Ronald Jones Jr., who had 113 yards to 2 TDs. Even Gronkowski made an appearance, man. Gronk had 5 receptions, including a TD. It was just bad, man. Like, it didn't help that David Bakhtiari, Aaron Rodgers' left tackle, got injured in the middle of the game, but hopefully he'll return soon. And he was just all over the place when he had no protection. And let's just talk about the interceptions. So the first interception was in the second quarter, and it was a pick six pass. He was throwing it left to Devontae Adams on the sideline. It was an in-and-out route. However, I think there was a delay in the pass, which led to just just no coordination, and then they took an opportunity, just picked it right off of, and ran it into for a touchdown. It was bad, and it just got worse from there because the next drive, I kid you not, he threw another interception. I was like, Aaron Rodgers is known to have Aaron Rodgers is known to minimize all turnovers. Like he has the ball, he's the quarterback that's least likely to throw an interception. Yet two in the same game, and he just could not gain his confidence back after those two interceptions. And I feel like he was starting to trust his receivers less and less throughout the game. And usually, I don't know. Usually he always has this thing where he throws better in the last half. He just couldn't do that. And I'm not saying he's washed up because Aaron Rodgers is not washed up. I mean, I've seen him playing all season. I'm just gonna say this is a bad game for him, man, because that it was just unacceptable. I mean, I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I think he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but that was just a bad game for him, and he has to step up next game. I'm not gonna put on the receivers because that was all him. I'm sorry. I mean, and another person that kind of disappeared was Jadeveon Smith. He just didn't show up when the sacks were needed against Tom Brady. And Tom Brady pretty much stayed conservative and avoided turnovers. He didn't have to go balls to the wall because they're aware that the Packers' rush defense isn't very good, and that's when Ronald Jones Jr. stepped up and ran a number on him. Packers, I still think they're going to win the division. I mean, the Bears are great, but people have been saying they're kind of the worst 5-1 team, and I think the Packers will edge them out. But it'll be a great game when they actually play each other, though. Buccaneers are probably still in the running to win their division. I mean, Saints have been kind of disappointing, so they'll probably go to the playoffs. And what I like to see is a rematch. I want to see Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady head-to-head in the playoff game, winner take all. Hopefully it'll be a game that will decide the NFC Conference finalists or the Super Bowl. Either way, I'm all about it, and Aaron Rodgers, I know, will not do that kind of shit again. So just kind of briefly go over the other games. I want to go too far into them. So Houston faced the Tennessee Titans, and Titans beat them. They're undefeated, man. You got to watch out. Ryan Tannehill is actually pretty clutch quarterback, and Derrick Henry, unbelievable, man. He's just out of this fucking world. Then the Cincinnati Bengals faced the Indianapolis Colts, and unfortunately the Colts beat them 27-31. Joe Burrow is just struggling with that team, man. It's just hard to work with the Colts, with the Bengals, man. I honestly think there should be a lottery draft for the NFL draft. It's so stupid. You work your ass off in college, you become the best of the best, only to be put on a team where you may not even succeed in it, and like right away. You might have to be patient if you're lucky. Well, I'll go into detail about something like that later in another episode. And then the Atlanta Falcons beat the Minnesota Vikings. They beat them 40-23. I mean, dang, I was impressed. I mean, Minnesota might have to do a coaching change because Mike Zimmer just may not be that guy for them anymore. And then Cleveland lost to Pittsburgh. No surprise there, but Pittsburgh's looking pretty dominant, honestly. I can't wait to see what's in store for them later this season.